Hey, One Piece episode 32. Let's react to the summary.
The deck, but the food attracts Mamu, the Arlong pirate sea beast who resembles a cow. Mamu attacks the ship for the food, but Luffy and Sanji fight back, knocking him back into the sea. Luffy forces Mamu to carry the ship to Arlong Park. Usopp is brought to Nojiko's house, where Chabo reveals his father was killed by Arlong when Gosa Village was destroyed. Usopp is informed of Nami's allegiance to Arlong. Nojiko reveals she is also Nami's adopted sister. Usopp laments Nami's betrayal, despite believing she genuinely enjoying her experience with the crew. In Kokayashi village, Usopp and Nojiko hide from Arlong, who confront a man, Genzo, for possession of a weapon. Nojiko reveals that Arlong sees humans as inferiors for him to use as he pleases, forcing all citizens under his reign to pay him a monthly tribute to him in exchange for their lives. He destroyed Gosa village because of the failure of one person to pay the tribute. Arlong reveals his intentions to use the funds to dominate all of East Blue. Deeming the mere possession of a weapon as a form of rebellion, Arlong decides to execute Genzo. However, Usopp interferes, shooting him with his slingshot standing on a house. Enraged, Arlong lifts the house off its foundation, slamming it into the neighboring house.
Damn.
Fearing the loss of another stream of income, Arlong's crew restrain him to prevent him from destroying Kokoyashi village. Genzo's wounds are treated, and Nami visits a marked grave atop a cliff. She states her intentions to raise 100 million bellies to buy her village back from Arlong. As Luffy, Sanji, and Yusaku sail towards Arlong Park with Mamu's help, Zoro, having cleared the base from all other enemies, meet one of Arlong's officers.
Alright. That's the end of episode 32. Bro, episode 32 is interesting. Like, the character designs of the fisherman is actually really nice. Like, just look at this octopus dude. I mean, it's creepy and freakish. However, it's creative. It is a creative design. I won't lie. It is a creative design. Plus, the characters are really like well drawn, and there hasn't been many differences between the manga and the anime thus far. Like slight differences, like maybe they'll show Nami laughing when or smiling when she walks into the village in Arlong Park, and they don't show that in the anime. Or they'll show like they just did a better job of showing how much Arlong beat has well they showed how much Arlong was beating or had already beat the villagers into submission in the manga. They do that really well in the manga. They don't do that as well in the anime. But they do that really well in the manga, showing how much Arlong has beat the villagers into submission over the course of 8 years. And how they really are basically like enslaved by Arlong and have been forced and intimidated to you know, serve Arlong and like even try to like I guess reason or reasonify or gaslight themselves into thinking that like Arlong is willing to work with them and all these things. Like basically gaslight themselves into thinking that patience and continuing to be enslaved by Arlong is the right way to go about it. When in actuality, you know, if they do nothing to fight against oppression and their oppressors, the oppression doesn't end. In fact, it worsens. And that's really interesting because it is exactly what happened in real life with enslavement of the white people in America and white people in Europe enslaving black people all across the world, and how through whitewashing, white people even gaslit themselves into thinking that slavery was somehow into justifying white supremacy. They gaslit themselves into justifying white supremacy through whitewashing, and maybe not even gaslit themselves, but they definitely whitewashed black people into creating them to be into converting them into subservient black people, into turning them into subservient, or into making them subservient, into making black people subservient. So yeah, a lot of parallels to that, actually. A lot of parallels